Hey guys, if you're looking to start an aquarium, this may be your first time ever, don't really know what to do, and you're wondering, what kind of filter would be best for me. Well, I'm going to go over that in this video. You're looking at this probably and thinking, what in the world is this thing? But this is an under gravel filter, and this to me is the best filter I think that you can get in an aquarium. What it is these grates are perforated, and you put gravel over it, you pump air through here, and then the bubbles that come up through this air stone and back out here draw water down through these grates across the gravel, and any food or fish waste go right down here and immediately starts to decompose and being eaten up by the nitrifying bacteria. And that to me is just the best. Even when I didn't know what I was doing when I was younger, I never had a problem with algae. An overfeed, overcrowd, no problem. I never had a problem with algae. And, I think it's the best thing. Plus, this aerates the water. This gets the maximum amount of oxygen into the water, which is just the best thing you can do. And but it has its limitations. This is great for live bearers and a lot of egg layers that just don't dig. Cichlids, unfortunately, African cichlids and a lot of South American cichlids, they're going to dig, and then it's just going to render this thing useless. And I know what a lot of you people are going to say. What about the sponge filter? It's just best. I think so up to a point, because it gets clogged too easily. And if you'll know this by if you feed heavy or have a lot of fish, maybe with a lot of fish waste, it tends to clog up those pores in the sponge filter. And if you'll notice, your bubbles will come out closer to the tube, just right under the tube. Well, it's no longer filtering the water. It might just a tiny bit, but not as much. And this, I just don't think you ever have a problem with this, unless you have a digging fish. And then, if you do that, unfortunately, you have to go to a power filter. And the only thing with power filters is, water level gets a little low, makes a lot of splashy noises. This doesn't. If your air pump, there's ways to silence the air pump. With little rubber mats and little foam feet, you can make it virtually silent. But this, unfortunately, sometimes they grind. They make noise, a lot of splashing. It sounds like you're living next to a creek. But they do a good job overall. But just to me, like if the power goes out, the problem with this, the water, sometimes it'll break the siphon. It doesn't ever start back up. It just sits there and churns and churns and churns and makes noise. Well, if you're away, that's really bad. And that could dry out the filter. All your bacteria dies. Your fish don't get the oxygen they need. If you have a heater, the water's not flowing across the heater, maybe the water gets cold. With this always runs. That air pump pretty much is going to run forever. They do wear out, but, and then you have the inserts. You get the filter pads and stuff that you have to buy. You're always having to replace that. You don't really have to this. You have these, which you can buy replacement cartridges for, and a lot of them you could take apart, fill it up with activated carbon, or maybe some of the little ammonia rocks in it. I don't see a problem with this if you can get if you can use this. Back in the 60s, maybe around Florida and California, people used to have saltwater aquariums, and they ran those saltwater aquariums on an under gravel filter, and they were successful. Many of them were, and it just works. I wish if I've got a 90-gallon tank with a Severum and 2 really big discus in it, and I would run it in there if the Severum didn't dig. Unfortunately, she digs a little bit, so I have to run a power filter in there. As soon as she's gone, I might consider turning over to an under gravel filter. I like to run sand in mine. I think it looks good. That sand will not be really good in this, because the water water will not flow through that sand like it should. I guess I should mention that. This is mostly for gravel, fine gravel, bigger gravels. That if you can help it, if you can get by it, especially if you're starting out and you just want to get some live bears, some easy fish to keep, maybe some gouramis, just fish that don't dig, just simple fish, you're going to have no problem running this at all. And I just think it's a better system to me because, like I said, the fish waste go down here and they start getting activated on by the bacteria. Unfortunately with this, the fish waste maybe goes over into a corner and just sits there and rots, and you start having some kind of unfavorable bacteria. Nitrates start to build up, phosphates. Like with the food, same way. And that's another thing with feeding. This right here, unfortunately, just blows all the food to the bottom. And if you got a fish that likes to scour the top, well, they're going to have to eat just a couple flakes or pellets, whatever, and then it's basically over if you don't unplug it. And this doesn't churn the water quite so much. And like with most air pumps, you can basically adjust the flow, so it's not too bad. And but like if you want to use a sponge filter and this, just you can even get sponge filaments for these. I'm sure they have them on Amazon. And like I said, they're great until they clog up, and then they just don't get the water. If you keep them clean, if you're really diligent and will clean those, you'll have a great success with a sponge filter. But if not, I think you're going to start getting some algae, maybe a little bit of ammonia might start to build up. Whereas I just don't think it would with this. But that's basically what I'm, if you can start out with an undergravel filter, do it. But if not, you have to go to a power filter. Just, be wary that you have to maintenance the power filter also. You clean the pads, change out the pads. Don't change them all out. Like if you have a, a 2-pad system like this, don't change them both out at the same time because they're full of beneficial bacteria. And you're going to get rid of that when you change out that pad. Which you could also clean the pads, which is what I do. I clean them, make them last a little longer. That's just basically the difference right there. If you could just get by with this, I promise you'll be happy with an undergravel filter. For me, this is the best ever. It just works. And I'm going to do a video on this to show you why I no longer have this in the tank. And that is one of the issues. Bought it brand new. Well, we won't get into that right now. But there are other, depending on like if you're starting salt water, of course there's going to be return pump. You've got a whole different system there. And with the live rocks, your live rocks are your filters basically. But if you're into fresh water, you just need to don't worry about it so much. Just get this. You'll be happy. And anytime you oxygenate the water, that's the other thing about the sponge filter, because it also, it's basically the same system, but with a sponge. It's just a tube. It runs into a big sponge, draws the water through that sponge, so anything, food, anything tries to go through that, starts to get worked on. But that also starts to clog it up. And it's just, it's a good system, but if you're not really detail oriented or really diligent about cleaning, it's not going to be the best option for you. But that's basically about it really that I have on this, and I hope that this helps you in some way. And I plan to do videos, when I get this up, I'm going to set this into a breeding tank, and I hope to maybe get some epistogrammas, or really not sure what I want to start breeding, but I can't use this with any African cichlids, of course. But the little guys, they might burrow a little bit, but I don't think they ever would enough for to hurt this. But that's basically it, guys. So I appreciate you watching my video and hope this helps you. Thanks.